Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Eichen here, and it's Saturday, and I've got this book right here. Don't even think about it. It's my morning readings. I've been gone for a couple days doing stuff, getting ready for my show, and making some beautiful photographs in the background there. My photo of my flowers that are going back to nature in my studio. So it's just really beautiful to be a photographer. So really important stuff is happening on the planet right now, everybody. And I want to bring your attention to this book that I can share with you. And it just was random, but it was in my studio this morning. And I have a page here that I pulled out. And there was an earthquake yesterday in Thailand. And I have some Palo Santo that I should open up from Jill. Love you, Jill. Jill is in Sri Lanka. And so many people are transiting, coming and going from Port Townsend after 37 years. This book came from Jill, and so did the Palo Santo. But I'm going to open this up here, and I'm going to. Wow, that's so beautiful. I'm going to see how to dispense this here. Wow. That's fucking amazing. So let me see if I can find something here. I've got a little thing here, and I'm going to put some Palo on me, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it open for a while so I can smell that Palo, and it's beautiful. So today's reading, don't even think about it. The science of climate change is easy. Burning fossil fuels creates greenhouse gases, and that we're warming our world. GM reminds us about the hard part of connecting the well heat to the tailpipe in people's minds as soon as possible. Please read this book and think about it. Let's get to work. So do your best, everybody. And I hope you can hear me. I hope the sound is good. Sometimes it's not. So the place that I'm reading here is right here. It's Cockroach Tours, How Museums Struggle to Tell the Climate Change Story. There's a school class inside the Hall of Human Origins at the Smithsonian Institute of Natural History. When I visit and a young girl is reading out the panels to her friends, some of the language is a bit tricky, but she's giving it her best. Actually, though, the Hall of Humans Origins is telling two stories. One is about the... Hang on, somebody's calling in the middle of my morning. It's John of Heidi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I call you back? You're live on my morning reading.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Just say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, cool. That's John, everybody. I'm going to get back to my reading. I'll call you back.
All right, bye.
So, actually, though, the Hall of Human Origins is telling two stories. One is about evolution. The other is about climate change. The first thing one sees on entering is a 10-foot wide video screen on which the phrase extreme climate shifts is repeated over and over again. At the top of the images of cracked earth, deserts, melting ice sheets, and familiar images from the B-roll of the environmental documents. Climate change carries powerful and resonant frames, and these are triggered by the language and the images in every display, in every hall. I guess there's a, this was talking about the kids and them going to school and teaching each other in this museum, this climate change museum. It's amazing. And yet, while toying with those associations, there's a strange absence of discussion about climate change as a threat to our own times. In a single panel tucked over to one side tells us that carbon dioxide levels are increasing and that these are associated with a warmer planet and sea levels, alongside the interactive video games that weaves the potentially distracting information back into the central theme of the gallery. It invites visitors to consider what useful new features we might evolve to cope with in greenhouse future. Imagine that all the land is underwater and it says, would you have a big webbed feet like a duck or long still legs like a flamingo? The temperature is really hot. Do we have tall, narrow bodies like a giraffe or more sweat glands each time you press a button for the cartoon figure alongside develops a new body or shape, or a shower of droplets pours from the armpits, and the school kids are shrieking with laughter as they put together the freak fest possible future man or woman or person. This is not unlike the deliberately provocative proposal by the philosophers St. Matthew's Leo of New York University that we should genetically engineer humans to reduce emissions. We could have cat eyes, so we need less lighting. We could have choice between 2 medium-sized children or 3 small-sized children in order to save energy. Examining intuitively absurd or apparently drastic ideas can be important learning experiences, Lau says. If so, the children in the Smithsonian are learning nothing about climate change. Zero. Okay. There is no information about this, the issue it causes or its solutions, but they are learning some powerful frames. The narrative of the Hall of Humans origins promotes the 1 million+ people who visit it every year, and the climate has always changed. We have always coped with these challenges, and that adapting them is what made us strong and smart. It is an argument that would chime very happily with the fossil fuel lobbyists and the professional constraints of the K Street offices just a few blocks from the museum, most of whom have been directly funded by those nefarious oil billionaires, the Koch brothers. The Koches are men of many interests who like to spread their largesse around, including, oh, I didn't mention this, $20 million for David Koch, Hall of Human Origins. Talking later with Kirk Johnson, the director of Smithsonian Natural History Museum, is well stuffed in a sofa, vast corner of the office on the 4th floor. I'm intrigued to know that the Smithsonian American's most respected scientific bodywork funding from America's most notorious climate change denier to host permanent display, one that carries his name, portraying climate change as a natural cycle and a positive challenge that we will mutate to survive. Webbed feet? What did they say? So Johnson is up for the challenge. He understands the battlefield of climate communications as well. His own intuition came 10 years earlier when he made a keynote presentation on climate science and the great good of Albert oil industry, Albertan. They were really mad. I was full blast of 2,000 really unhappy people, and at the time I was thinking, Wow, that's so interesting. Maybe I'm too easily charmed by Johnson, who is a smart, entertaining, but persuades me that there was never a deliberate strategy to misinform. There was a paleontological display on effects of natural climate change, which just happened to stray rather naively into the highly politicized issue of anthropogenic climate change. Johnson, who has a background in paleoclimatology, freely admits that the two have been confused in display and cold to cold changes describes in exhibition, entirely unlike devastating cool to hot changes we're facing with human climate change. Get it, everybody? Something's about to pop here, and I'm going to connect it to the earthquake in Thailand. According to Johnson, there are also great matches between curator with a specific vision and the large donor who is passionate about paleontology, and he makes regular visits to research sites and the Rift Valley. The enemy narrative would love to read Koch's support as another cynical exercise in public information, but reality is more complex and interesting than that. Nonetheless, I doubt that Koch is the hands off, there's money, see you later funder described by Johnson. No one wants to antagonize their largest donor, and I would be happily bet the museum would be held back on any temptation that it might have to make the hall bearers this time into the showcase for the latest climate science, which raises more interesting questions. Why is a single lackluster panel in the corner of the paleontology gallery the only permanent display across the entire Smithsonian Museum complex of the most important science-driven issue of our times? The real problem seems to be that people at the Smithsonian, like everyone else who works on climate change, are struggling to find out ways of talking about it that are interesting, engaging, and truthful to the science, yet able to navigate politics, and it would seem that they are not doing a great job of it. Rapley is very defensive of the decision to take funding from Shell, saying that demonetizing the corporate world would root to nowhere. It is much better to enter in the dialogue with them. Certainly, Ripley entered a very positive dialogue with the chairman of Shell, James Smith, who he says is one of the most thoughtful people that you can imagine and takes this issue very seriously. He is less enthusiastic about the dialogue with the radical climate change campaign group Rising Tide, whose members invaded the museum with noisy protests and banner drops. What? Free the weed. So Shell was under a very strict and legally binding contract that it had no editorial influence over the exhibition. But then why would Shell need to influence the exhibition that was so determined to say nothing that could challenge its interests? Shell received what they needed, a showcase for their global brand own corporate storyline, and they are good guys who produce energy, find positive environmental solutions, and have climate and help solve the climate crisis. Shell's narrative are very much better written and better funded than any other climate education program. It is a measure of success that people not only accept them, but cannot even see that they exist. And so, a museum with a proud scientific history led by dedicated self-reflective climate scientists ended up with a nicely lit atmospheric crochet sponsored by a company whose entire business model is by necessity based on making climate change worse. Now that's an interesting story, it says here. So on the next chapter, it says, tell me why a story, why lies can be so appealing. Stories are the means by which humans make sense of our world. We learn from our values, from our beliefs, and give shapes to our thoughts and dreams and hopes and fears. Stories are everywhere in myths, fables, epic histories, tragedies, comedies, paintings, dances, stained glass windows, film, social histories, fairy tales, novels, science, schemata, comic strips, conversations, and journal articles. Before we can even write and read, we have learned more than 300 stories. Whoa, tell me a story, why lies can be so appealing. Amazing. So I'm going to bookmark this and read you some more tomorrow. It's about that, about lies and about truth. But we just had a climate disaster in Thailand this week, everybody. And so it's time to take on something, send them some money, send them some love, think really positively about our planet and about 10,000 homes that went down in Los Angeles with 100-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, come on. We don't get that here in Port Townsend, but it blows the crap out of my little village here. And so yeah, I'm wearing my shirt, homegrown. So, eat local, eat seasonal, and pray for those who lost their lives. I heard 1,000 people were counted dead, but it could go as much as 100,000 people. I don't know what's going to come out of it, but the Philippines got it. A lot of, there's, I saw a volcano bubbling super high yesterday, while I was doing my printing, and the internet popped in. So a lot's going on. Read your tarot, everybody. Take it seriously. Stay hydrated. Drink your favorite beverage that has medicinal mushrooms in it. Plant medicine can help you. And stay organic, everybody. Don't panic. And those who have hurt you, it's only a thought. I guess it's information, Maybe they didn't hurt you. Maybe you're taking that on. And I myself have done 3 sweat lodges in the last 3 months or 4 months, and thanks to my local community. And I'm taking my crystal wand and I'm going through and cleaning my heart out, okay? So I can be more potent. But we have a show happening in Estes Park in a week and a half, and we're going to have a birthday here. My birthday is April 2nd, everybody. And I need no, let me see if I can get my visual better. So I have no desires except for peace on earth and to end prohibition for marijuana, and to give really great hope for climate change. And thank you, Brock, my dear friend of 30, 40 years in Boston, who was working on climate change for children in the schools. And I'll bet you he got his fingers in the Smithsonian. So thank you, everybody, for doing the best you can. And my heart goes deep for everybody in Thailand. Amazing. They said buildings fell down like skyscrapers. Nothing you can do about it except for stop pulling out incredible resources to make an electric battery for a car that's dirty. I heard the hemp battery is renewable resources and even better. So let's evolve, everybody. Let's have a great day. Happy Saturday, everybody. And I'm out of here. So I'll try to read some more tomorrow from this book. I'm going to go print. I got an auction to make.